By now, you've probably seen the Nvidia GTC announcements, the supercut that's also available on this channel, by the way. In case you haven't watched that, it's going to be in the top right corner. And if most of you are also Palantir investors, you've probably heard the term Nvidia AI Foundry services. Now, some of you already asked me on X and in the comments, is this a problem for Palantir? What do they actually do? Are they direct competitors? Can both of them compete, etc., etc.? So in this video, I'm actually going to explain Palantir Foundry and Nvidia's generative AI Foundry services. I even asked an LLM to explain the difference between both of those offerings so you can get the answer from the AI itself. Well, from the AI, not really, from the human-based information that AI has gathered and has given me. Important aspect to remember. And then later in this video, we're going to have a look at Palantir stock and Nvidia stock, just a quick overview valuation-wise. If that's your interest, then you can skip towards the end of this video. But let's go back to Palantir. Palantir Foundry, or should I say Palantir the core. So the mission was or is still building data-driven operations and decision-making software. It has 3 operating systems: Gotham, Foundry, Apollo. Foundry is the ontology-powered operating system for the modern enterprises, Gotham the operating system for defense and resilience, and Apollo the operating system for continuous delivery. Now under Foundry, as you can see on the screen here, you've got industries such as manufacturing, energy, finance, aviation, shipping, healthcare, logistics, pharma, retail, and many, many more. I believe the full list is somewhere available on their website. The list is extremely, extremely long and growing. Now, it is important to note, and I'll repeat this again and again, because some people still say, yeah, but Palantir is a 20-year-old company. What have you been doing for 20 years? Doesn't make sense. Why aren't they on top of things? Why is it still so small, especially when you look at the revenue generating from the company? It's barely a fraction of what the big AI players are generating. Now, I agree, but remember, Palantir 20 years ago, even Palantir 5-10 years ago is not the same Palantir as today. The last couple of years, thanks to the tech, thanks to major developments, Palantir has transformed itself almost completely. So it's not really comparing apples to apples when you compare Palantir 2024 to Palantir 2003, 2004, 2005. Not the same company, although might be same people in the management teams, but the company itself is now, in my opinion, in a much, much better place. And the same could be said with Nvidia, by the way, right? Even though Nvidia, remember, CUDA was announced back in 2006, a year before the iPhone was announced. And yet, only in the last couple of years have we seen the huge, huge positive effects of all the work that Nvidia and the team there have been doing for what? Close to 20 years. You're working on something for 20 years, and imagine, during those 20 years, people say, oh, Nvidia, just a gaming company, just a gaming company. Then what happened the last couple of years? In just one moment, I say one moment, but it's probably a domino effect, but the whole company basically transformed. Now it's one of the largest companies on the planet and arguably one of the most important ones as well. So yes, sometimes to reach that inflection point, it's going to take a lot of time. Now, before continuing, if you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, would really appreciate that. If you want to support me even further, do check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment to get the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor. Thank you very much. So let's now talk about Palantir Foundry. So Foundry provides an open architecture for closing the loop between operations and analytics. It gives you the ability to bring your existing data and model tuning together inside of an ontology, which you can then use to build workflows, applications, and actually capture decisions with to inform better operations over time. I'll of course add here that this is not just about replacing humans. Actually, this is not about replacing humans at all. This is about making sure that the human makes the best decision possible. Foundry is designed to deeply integrate with existing architecture, data platforms, data lakes, data warehouses. So think of Snowflake, GCP, which is Google Cloud, Azure, AWS, and so on and so forth. It integrates both data and analytics into an operating layer that can be used to power feedback-driven workflows across the entire business. And since the industry is ever-changing, Palantir Foundry is developed to adapt quite fast. And now let's have a look at what Gemini responded when I asked, compare Palantir Foundry to Nvidia Generative AI Foundry services. So first, the focus. Palantir specializes in data integration and analytics, particularly for government and enterprise use cases. It helps organizations combine data from various sources, analyze it, and gain insights. This is, of course, a very basic definition. NVIDIA Generative AI Foundry Service focuses on building and deploying custom generative AI applications. Generative AI involves using AI to create new content like text, code, or images. As for data handling, so what does Palantir Foundry do? They are designed to work with large, complex data sets, often involving sensitive data, so security is a major focus for Palantir Foundry. NVIDIA's Generative AI Foundry service runs on Microsoft Azure Cloud Platform and integrates with enterprise data through Retrieval Augmented Generation, RAG. While security is important, it may not be at the same level of focus as Palantir Foundry. And then the target user, Palantir focuses primarily on governments and enterprises with complex data needs, but now we know with AIP bootcamps, it's not just huge enterprises, it's even the smaller companies as well. And NVIDIA Generative AI Foundry service aimed at a broader audience, including startups and enterprises looking to build custom generative AI applications. And so, NVIDIA AI's Foundry service on Microsoft Azure, it's a faster path to custom generative AI models or applications. You get access to AI foundation models, tools for customizing the models via NVIDIA NeMo, and a high-performance AI factory, DGX Cloud. And then more recently, NVIDIA has launched generative AI microservices for developers to create and deploy generative AI copilots across NVIDIA CUDA GPU installed base. NVIDIA NIM, part of NVIDIA's AI enterprise, provides a streamlined path for developing AI-powered enterprise applications and deploying AI models in production. And if we go back to the announcement back in late 2023, NVIDIA introduces Generative AI Foundry service on Microsoft Azure for enterprises and startups worldwide. We've got here a couple of comments from one, Jensen Wan, and the other from Satya Nadella. So first up, enterprises need custom models to perform specialized skill trained on the proprietary DNA of their company, their data. NVIDIA's AI Foundry service combines our generative AI model technologies, LLM training expertise, and giant scale AI factory. We built this in Microsoft Azure so enterprises worldwide can connect their custom model with Microsoft world-leading cloud services. Then as for Satya, our partnership with NVIDIA spans every layer of the Copilot stack, from silicon to software, as we innovate together for this new age of AI. With NVIDIA's Generative AI Foundry service on Microsoft Azure, we are providing new capabilities for enterprises and startups to build and deploy AI applications on our cloud. Back then, they gave us a couple of examples with regards to companies like Amdocs, SAP, Getty Images. They were amongst the first to build custom LLMs with NVIDIA's AI foundation models, train on NVIDIA's DGX Cloud, and deploy with NVIDIA's AI enterprise software. I remind you again, this is very crucial for generative AI, meaning creating new types of things. With Palantir, it's more about what data is available to you right now, better understanding that data, linking it, and then making assumptions of what could happen in the future. Now, switching to the stock, Palantir right now had a good day thanks to Jerome Powell's speech. We're back over $24, close to $25 now, market cap close to $53 billion. Now, of course, if you look at valuation right now, forward PE, EV to EBITDA, price to sales, price to free cash flow, yes, it is not cheap at all. I mean, forward PE, 72.9 times. I don't really like it when people comment, oh, this is a high PE, bad investment. No, a PE is just one of the metrics or one of the things you should be looking at when looking to buy a company. It doesn't always paint the full picture. For example, in this case, if you only look at PE, you might think extremely expensive. But then if you look at what the analysts are expecting, the expected growth rates, which in my opinion are still quite conservative, and I can understand some analysts still sitting on the sidelines looking at how Palantir will perform in the coming quarters, seeing the positive effects of AIP bootcamps, which in my opinion will take longer than just a quarter or two. But you can clearly see here that EPS, the expectations are for it to grow this year 30%, then 20% year-over-year growth for fiscal year 25 and 2026. Talking about EPS, not sales. Sales is expected to grow 20% for the next 3 fiscal years, which in my opinion also is very conservative. Now, if those numbers suddenly become 30%, since this is a software-based margin business, you will definitely see the valuation metrics compress quite fast, unless, of course, the stock again doubles or triples. That is a very important point I want to make here, because what we had with Palantir before, right? When Palantir was at $6, $7, even $10, stock didn't really move much, but we saw that the business itself was suddenly becoming better and better and better. And in my opinion, that's the best case scenario, is when the business becomes better and better and better, and you can still accumulate shares on the cheap, let's say. Because when the market suddenly notices that, whoa, this company actually is growing quite fast, is becoming quite profitable, then we've seen that huge increase in stock price. What you don't want to see is a huge increase in stock price when the business itself is not moving much. Then switching to Nvidia real quick, and here you can still see that on all metrics, well, not on all metrics, but on forward PE, forward EV to EBITDA, price to free cash flow, that's in the last 12 months, those are still under the 5-year mean. Price to sales is now much higher at 19.6 times, definitely not on the cheap side there. But as you've seen, Nvidia's business has been, well, exploding top and bottom line. And so despite the stock being up 250% year over year, valuation wise, well, you can see that the stock is cheaper today than it was a year before. Why is that? Again, this is because the business has grown much, much faster than the stock. And if you look at what the analysts are expecting for the next coming fiscal years, fiscal year 2025, still a huge growth ahead, top and bottom line, 82% year-over-year growth for sales, and 91.7% year-over-year growth for EPS. And then we're moving a bit closer to the Palantir territory growth rates of around 20% top and bottom line year-over-year growth. Of course, expect these numbers to change quite a lot in the coming quarters as we get a bit more information with regards to maybe new orders for Blackwell, etc., etc. So that will be it for this video. Hopefully it was a helpful one, differentiating between Palantir Foundry and Nvidia's generative AI Foundry services, explaining also what both of them do. Hopefully it was helpful. If it was, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not. Of course, leave some feedback down in the comment section below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.